Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 5 of Uzumaki Naruto, Birth of the New Demon King. If you guys enjoy this what if, and want to see part 6 of it, comment down below, and let me know. The like goal for this video is 200 likes. So like this video, to let me know that you're interested in this series, and you want the next part. Check out my new videos of My Hero Academia what ifs in my second channel, and give it some love as well. Link is in the description. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. It had been 3 weeks since Naruto and Kiyubi had entered the realm of Makai, and during that time Naruto had grown a lot, and not just in strength. With his Yaki still more or less trying to balance itself within his body, the blonde had grown another 5 inches, making him stand at a height of 6 even, or 182 centimeters. He also looked older now, his physical body matching the 16 to 18-year-old look of Kiyubi. Speaking of the vixen, she was the one who told him why he was growing so damn much. Not that Naruto was going to complain. His height had always been something he had been self-conscious about. The fact that most of the kids at the academy had teased him for being so short notwithstanding. The reason for his incredibly growth spurt, apparently, was because he quite simply had too much Yaki for his body to handle. With a nearly overwhelming amount of power now being regulated through his Tenketsu, his body had been close to destroying itself from the inside out. Thus the excess Yaki that he let out subconsciously was being used to increase his growth in order to handle his power. For someone who had been about just short of 146 centimeters just a little less than a month ago, it was a nice change. Naruto had learned much, both about his new powers and his demon heritage. Under Kyuubi's tutelage he had learned how to manipulate his Yaki. With the use of his Kage Bunshin training method, in which Naruto usually had around 2 or 3,000 clones on average, the blonde could now say he was a master at manipulating his own energy. Though Kyuubi's words, that he was good enough for now, had made him face fault. Still, he couldn't deny she was way better at energy manipulation than he was, and so he didn't complain when the red hat had told him he still had a lot to learn. He had also gained much better control over his chakra. Because Naruto was at least part human, he still had his large reservoir of chakra, which had also taken a leap in size, his reserves being about twice as large as they had been when he was human. Kyuubi had told him this was because the seal had still been active for some time after she had been unsealed, even though it no longer had anything to hold after she had been released. The seal, which had originally been designed to leak Kyuubi's Yaki into Naruto's chakra coils, had instead taken Naruto's own Yaki, and began pumping them through his chakra coils, increasing them in size before the seal was destroyed completely. He did not know how good his control was, as there was no way for him to measure it. However, Naruto now had a very good feel of his own chakra, and the several jutsu that he knew, Kage Bunshin, Kawarimi and Henge, could all be done seamlessly and without smoke. On a side note, for some reason the only human technique that he could use with his Yaki was the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto assumed that was because it was a direct manipulation of energy, whereas the Henge was a Kenjutsu/ninjutsu hybrid, and the Kawarimi was a very basic Shikikenjutsu. Not everything they had done was fighting, however, they had taken frequent trips back to Haseki's shop. After explaining who it was the four-tailed kitsune had insulted, and swearing him to total secrecy, the man had been much more accommodating towards them, even going so far as to give Naruto's first 2 sets of clothes to him for free. After that they had gotten a nice discount, and the blonde was now the proud owner of several sets of kimonos and battle outfits that would repair themselves and grow as he did. A good thing too, since he had been 173 centimeters when he first got his clothes. Currently Naruto was wearing his favorite outfit. Tight black pants that were designed to stretch across his form to fit his muscular legs. He wasn't wearing a shirt, but he did have a vest that was made from the skin of one of the greater fiends he had killed during his training. It was black with a dark orange Uzumaki swirl on the back, which was surrounded by a pattern similar to the tattoo around Raizen's left eye in the same orange color. Currently it was unzipped, showing off Naruto's ripped torso. Over his vest was a sleeveless Hiyori. It was also black, with another orange Uzumaki swirl on the back, and had orange flames licking the bottom, and reaching down to his ankles. It came with a hood sewn into it. Haseki had placed a kitsune enchantment on his hood, so that when Naruto put it up all someone would see were his eyes. The Hiyori could also zip up, and when Naruto wanted he could attach sleeves of varying sizes and makes to it, so that no one would be able to see what he looked like. Finishing off his outfit were a pair of dark orange boots, which were covered by sleek-looking black shin guards. His arms were likewise covered by a pair of arm guards, and a pair of orange fingerless gloves. All in all, Naruto felt the look was badass, and if the way Kiyubi had purred and almost jumped him when she first saw him wearing them was anything to go by, he was damn sexy too. As it was, she had waited until they had left the Yauki village to jump him. Which was just fine with Naruto. With all that had happened in the past 3 weeks, Naruto had to say he was rather pleased. He was getting stronger every day, he was learning more now than he ever had at the academy or from Kakashi. He was learning about his heritage, at least the demonic half of it, and he had a beautiful vixen by his side. Yep, life was good for Naruto, and even the so-called last test Kyuubi had told him about couldn't bring him down from his current high. Birth of the new Demon King. So that's it, huh? Asked Naruto as he looked at the massive tower hovering over a city that was covered in mist. The city itself was fairly large, and he could only see a part of it due to the mist that covered most of the sprawling mass of buildings, which meant the city was much larger than it appeared. The only thing that he could really make out was the tower, a large spiraling mass of stone and mortar that looked like your stereotypical evil dungeon, with sweeping staircases and buttresses of all kinds on outside along with several large, pointed towers and statues of various animals that Naruto could not recognize. My last test. Yes, answered Kiyubi as she too looked out at the city. That city is called the City of Ghosts and Apparitions. The castle above it is called Maze Castle, and is the fortress of the four Saint Beasts. Most of the demons living in the city are small-time, E to C class. However, the four Saint Beasts are said to be more powerful, and will be a good test to see if you learned everything I have taught you so far. How do you know about these four Saint Beast guys anyways? Asked Naruto. You've been sealed up for like 100-something years, haven't you? The tick mark formed on Kyuubi's head at being reminded of her previous imprisonment. However, she didn't let him know how his words irritated her. She knew he didn't mean it as an insult, but a legitimate question. Because they formed about a year before I was forced to live in the human world. While they aren't that powerful compared to some of the demons in Makai, they are powerful enough that they were able to take over this city. They're also vastly more intelligent than the demons I have had you face thus far. Demons that lived on the plains of Makai were generally very stupid, lacking in everything but the most basic forms of instinct. While some of them, like the greater fiends and the Rangura, had a lot of power, they did not have the brains to properly use that power. Naruto nodded before he turned to Kyuubi and grinned. Since I have to go alone, how about a kiss for good luck? The redhead rolled her eyes, even as a grin of her own formed on her face. She pressed herself against the blonde head, wrapped her arms around him. She raised herself up on her tiptoes as Naruto leaned down, his eyes closing. However, just before their lips touched, Kyuubi pressed 2 fingers against his, making him open his eyes and blink owlishly. I think not. The grin on the redhead's face grew whiter, her larger-than-average canine slightly poking out from her upper lip. How about you do well, and if I'm impressed then maybe, just maybe, I'll give you that kiss you're craving. And with those words Kyuubi disappeared within a shundo, leaving Naruto blinking after her. Said blonde looked at where Kyuubi had been in his arms just a second ago, blinking in confusion. That lasted only so long, however, before he growled in frustration. Damn it, Kyu-chan. You can't just leave me all bothered like this. He grumbled for several moments before blinking as several ghouls surrounded him. Not in the mood to deal with these small fry, he growled. What the hell do you pricks want? The ghouls ignored him, however, as they talked amongst themselves. Such a delicious smell. He looks so tasty. Let's eat. Several large tick marks formed on his head as the ghouls spoke. Or, I suggest you all shut the fuck up before I rip your goddamn intestines out of your throat and shove them up your ass. He let loose a small amount of his power and killing intent. Small being a very relative term. What Naruto did was release around maybe 10% of his power and killing intent. However, 10% of his power was on class with an B-rank demon, and therefore much more powerful than anything these ghouls had likely ever come across. Therefore, it was no surprise when the moment he unleashed his power, the ghouls hightailed their asses out of the blonde's vicinity. Naruto snorted before going on his way, grumbling about vixens and how they were going to regret leaving him horny the whole way. Birth of the new Demon King. Meanwhile, within the maze castle, Naruto's presence did not go unnoticed. It's been a while since we had a visitor. Who cares? There's only one of them, and he hardly has any power to him. He's not even worth our attention. What say you, Master Suzaku? Byakko is correct. A single demon with only enough energy for a D rank. I doubt he could even make it past the front door. Birth of the new Demon King. So, this is Maze Castle up close, huh? Naruto snorted. How quaint. He began walking closer to the entrance, but only made it a few steps before being approached by a strange creature whose purple body consisted of a single eyeball centered between 2 bat wings. Welcome to Maze Castle. The one who wishes to enter this castle must first be tried by the gate of betrayal, announced the creature. Trial? Asked Naruto, tilting his head from side to side as he looked at the creature. What trial? In answer to the blonde's question, the creature darted over to a switch on the side of the wall, causing the ceiling above them to fall down. Naruto frowned as he raised a hand and held the roof from collapsing on him. I hope this isn't the trial. If so, then I want my refund. This place sucks. This door is very sensitive and quite tricky. It is able to detect the strength of the people supporting it and apply the greatest pressure possible without crushing them outright. The creature said in what Naruto assumed was a smug tone. Just listening to the creature pissed him the fuck off. As soon as one person slacks, it will then completely fall to the ground. If one person betrays the rest and escapes, the rest will be crushed. If everyone remains, then eventually you will tire and you will all be crushed. Only betrayers have the right to enter this castle. So, who's going to live and who's going to die? Ha ha ha. Boy. Did you forget I'm a lone cocksucker? Asked Naruto. The blonde cocked his unused hand back. He channeled a little power into his fist, not enough for anyone to see, or even feel the energy, but enough for what he wanted. Naruto smashed his fist into the ceiling and unleashed the energy he had channeled into it. There was a small shockwave that was sent out from his fist hitting the ceiling. Cracks and fissures began to form, running along the surface. Then the entire ceiling exploded in a shower of debris. The shocked creature didn't even have time to do more than widen its eyes before Naruto grabbed it in his hand and squeezed. Gross, demon guts, Naruto said after popping the creature like a balloon. He shook the juices and entrails from the crushed creature off of him. He looked around for a moment and grunted. This is so boring, I hope this lame-ass trap isn't conducive to the rest of the castle. He sighed, whatever, might as well get this shit over with. Maybe if I get done quick enough Kyu-chan will give me a nice reward. He giggled a little at the thoughts of what he and Kyuubi would be doing together as he began walking into the castle proper. Somewhere in Konoha Jiraiya felt the urge to shout and pump his fist, which he did. Unfortunately he was currently spying on the women's hot spring, while all the female Anbu members were taking a soak. His cries were so loud that Kyuubi, who was waiting for Naruto, heard them and smiled. Birth of the new Demon King. He managed to pass the fate of betrayal. Seems this child is stronger than we thought. What should we do, Master Suzaku? Do not worry, Seiryu. This only means we'll have a little more entertainment for the time being. The boy is a fool if he thinks he has what it takes to storm this castle on his own. Someone go down and play with him. Ha! This stupid blonde thinks he can come in here all by himself and defeat us. I'll crush him where he stands. No, I shall show this fool the true perils of Maze Castle. The mighty Genbu shall bring you his corpse to you immediately. I shall stick his head on a pike at the top of the tower as a message to all those who would oppose us. Ha 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 ha. Birth of the new Demon King. Ear sweat Kami. When Kyu-chan said this place was a maze she meant it, Naruto grumbled. He had been walking around the winding passages for over half an hour, searching for a set of stairs that would lead him to the next level with no luck. God damn it. When am I going to get to fight anyone? Looks like someone seems rather eager to die. Ha 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 ha. A raspy voice bellowed out. Finally, I was wondering when one of you idiots would get here, Naruto said. I've been getting terribly bored. You've got some guts, punk. Take the door on your right, and I shall show you just how out of your league you are, the voice commanded. The blonde grinned. You wouldn't be saying that after I kick your ass, exclaimed Naruto as he slammed open the iron double doors. The room was illuminated only by a few torches, while the majority of it remained hidden in darkness. In the back a spiraling stairway leading upwards could be seen. Naruto sighed as he tried to peer into the darkness with no success. He still didn't have a grasp on enhancing his senses as it took far more control than he currently had. Thinking of a better way to get some light, the blonde channeled some Yauki into his hands and created a ball of flame. Well, it wasn't quite a flame. Naruto had learned early on that his Yauki had no elemental properties to it, his chakra did, but not his Yauki. The flame in his hands was essentially just a ball of compressed Yauki that acted similar to fire. It was, in many ways, similar to Kyuubi's own Kitsune Fire, otherwise known as Kitsune Bai. Holding out his hand, the flame flew towards the ceiling, lighting up the rest of the room. Naruto blinked as he got sight of the rather large beast before him. The mammoth-sized beast was composed entirely of rocks. He had turtle-style shell protecting his back, spikes on top of his head, and a long stone tail hanging out behind him. Welcome, trespasser. Haha, laughed the creature. Naruto had a deadpan look on his face. I'm going to be fighting a fucking rock. Are you kidding me? I am Genbu of the Four Saint Beasts. Genbu told him, seemingly ignoring Naruto's insult. The blonde assumed the man was not only a rock, but likely as dumb as one as well. Any last request, before I rip you limb from limb? Yeah, how can a beast be a saint? Asked Naruto, and I've heard of pet rocks before, but talking rocks. This is the only set of stairs leading up to the tower. You can defeat me and go up there on your own, or I can drag you there once you've stopped breathing. Bellowed Genbu as he smacked his tail against the floor, creating a giant crater. I hope you don't have anyone back home waiting for you, or they're going to be left a widow. That was lame, Naruto said. Such a lame comeback. Can't you do any better than that? You've got guts for such a pathetic creature. Hahaha. Genbu laughed as his tail sunk into the ground. Genbu's tail shot out of the ground from behind Naruto, attempting to smack him across the room. Not that the blonde demon shinobi had any intention of letting it. Turning around, Naruto unleashed a blast of energy from his fist, smashing it into the tail and destroying it. The tail reformed and retracted back into his body a moment later. Hahaha. Thanks to my body structure, I can become one with any type of rock. With a little rearranging, I can make any stone one of my limbs. Since this whole chamber is made of stone, I have you surrounded. There's nowhere to run. Naruto's sweat dropped. Did you seriously just reveal your abilities without even being tricked into it? I was right, you really are as dumb as a rock. You have yet to see the full extent of my power. Perhaps then you won't be so cocky, declared Genbu as his entire body sunk into the stone floor. Naruto sighed. I have no desire to play hide and seek with you. The blonde demon shinobi was forced to leap backwards as Genbu's arm shot up out of the ground in the spot where he was previously standing. He backflipped backwards several times as he avoided the rock's arms and tails that attempted to squash him. Naruto frowned. So, it looks like I have to draw him out of hiding before I can cut him to pieces. Fine by me. Using Shundo, Naruto began to flash himself around the room, moving so fast that he left after images in his wake. He dodged arms, legs and tails with ease, taunting Genbu all the while. My god, you suck. It's no wonder you were the first one I fought. You're probably so weak the other beasts figured you were expendable. Genbu, frustrated by his inability to crush the blonde and enraged by Naruto's taunts, launched himself out of the ground and into the air. I'll crush you. Finally, Naruto crowed as he crossed his hands and created several black discs of energy. He flung his hands out in an X pattern, launching 10 discs at the same time. 2 of the discs sliced right through his head, 2 cut off his arms, 2 more went through his legs, and 4 of them cut into his torso. The chunks of stone that had formerly been his body fell to the ground with a loud thud. Naruto smirked as he dusted off his hands. Man, that was just sad, Naruto said, shaking his head. If this is the caliber I can expect with these saint beasts, then Kyu-chan is just making me waste my time. Don't get cocky, punk, shouted Genbu's voice from the pile of rocks. Naruto watched in stunned silence as the pile of stones started shaking as Genbu's body pieced itself back together. Ha ha ha. You can slice my body up all you like, but I'll just reassemble every time, taunted Genbu as his body reached down and put his head back on. Actually, it makes for a very nice attack. Horizontal boulder explosion. Genbu stretched his arms forward, firing them along with his head as projectiles at Naruto. The blonde frowned as he made his hands into knife edges, and slid into a wider defensive stance. He didn't even bother to use his Yauki to slice through the projectile arms and head, destroying them with impunity and making the pieces even smaller than last time. Let's see your cover from that, Naruto exclaimed. This is nothing, bellowed Genbu as his body reassembled itself again. Surrender and I'll make your ends swift. You can't defeat me. Horizontal boulder explosion, shouted Genbu as he started rapid-firing baseball-sized stones. Naruto frowned as he tried to come up with a plan, even as he continued destroying the boulders with well-placed punches. There's got to be a portion of his body that allows him to reassemble himself. The only problem is finding it would be like trying to find a single grain of sand on a beach. Naruto grumbled. This guy wasn't even worth the amount of time the blonde had already wasted on him. Why couldn't he just be simple to defeat like all the other demons? Well, if precision cutting doesn't work, I'll just blast the fucker away. Naruto began channeling more energy into his hand than he had previously. Enough that wisps of black energy began leaking off of his hand like steam. Your efforts are useless. Just die. Horizontal boulder explosion. Genbu released his entire torso as a barrage of stone projectiles. Naruto dodged the stone projectiles, weaving through them, as if they weren't even there. Using the same attack over and over again, have you no originality? Shouted Naruto as he smashed his fist into Genbu. There was a massive explosion of black energy that engulfed the large rock beast. The power Naruto unleashed caused the creature to disintegrate. Naruto looked around and snorted. How did you like that? Naruto began walking towards the stairs, grumbling the entire time. Stupid rock, making me waste so much time. Birth of the new Demon King. The remaining beasts all watched as the blonde's attack utterly destroyed Genbu, or more like disintegrated as there was nothing left of the rock demon, not even rubble. Still, they did not seem at all concerned by the death of Genbu, nor by the progress Naruto was making. It seems that Genbu has gone and gotten himself killed, Master Suzaku. You shouldn't be so troubled, Seiryu. Genbu was the weakest among us. His only usefulness was his ability to communicate to the demons of the city through the walls. His defeat has tarnished the name of the Saint Beasts. We cannot allow this intruder to progress any further, Master. Their end is near, I'll tear him to shreds. This blonde fool will not escape the hunt of Byakko. Birth of the new Demon King. Naruto sighed as he continued walking. This place was so boring, and Kiyubi was refusing to talk to him via their telepathy through the mating bond until he had finished his test. Man, I really wish Kyu-chan had chosen a different task. This is so boring. I need some action. Suddenly a deep grumbling roar shook the tower. Boy, who the hell is being so loud? Shouted Naruto. Cracks started to form in the stone walls, and the ceiling tiles began to crumble, sending debris to the floor. Naruto frowned as he looked around at the passageway, which looked it was beginning to come apart at the seams. Large cracks began forming along the entire corridor as the stone around him crumbled and broke apart. This place doesn't look like it can take too much more of this. The blonde used Shundo to speed up the last bit of the passageway. He made it just as the ceiling collapsed behind him. Dusting himself off, Naruto walked up the final set of stairs and out the final opening of the tower to an outdoor platform. He seemed to be on a white elevated stone pathway that was led from the tower. When Naruto looked down the sides, he couldn't even see the ground, it was so far down. On the shorter pathway leading from the platform to the main portion of the compound stood the gargantuan white tiger. "You must be the second beast," Naruto said, his tone carrying a hint boredom to it. The second saint beast was a huge humanoid white tiger with teal stripes, standing several meters tall. Two large fangs jutted out from the bottom of his mouth, and his green mane extended down to his upper back. He sported a green and red fur tunic with leg warmers. The tiger let out a low growl as his tail thwacked against the ground behind him, cracking and denting it. "Pass. You will pay for coming this far into my territory," sneered Byakko before he let out another roar. This one was not quite as intense as the other one, but it was enough that Naruto had to place his hands on his ears to block out the sound. "God damn it, you're loud," Naruto complained. "You remind me of this human girl I know, she can shriek like Banshee too. I can't believe such an insignificant insect like you has forced me to come all the way out here," snarled Byakko. "Don't be fooled by your victory over that weakling Genbu. This is the end of the line for you. Genbu was nothing. The only reason we didn't kill him ourselves is because he could communicate with the demons in the city by growling through the castle walls. Are all of you saint beasts so damn arrogant?" asked Naruto. "If you think you can do better than him, then back up your claim with actions." However, Byakko appeared to not be listening to the blonde's words as he continued his rant. "I am a real beast. It's maddening enough that I've been locked up in this compound for all this time without the taste of human flesh. No prey, no bones, no blood. Then you have the nerve to come in here and think you can just walk all over us. Oh, I'm sorry, did hurt your feelings?" asked Naruto in a baby tone. Poor waddle tiger." The blonde sneered, and his tone became harsher when he spoke again. "Stop your bitching and fight me. Insignificant trash. I will tear you apart and eat you myself," bellowed Byakko. "I will rip your sorry ass to shreds and feed you to the Fugaki." Naruto sighed. Why was this idiot still talking? Then get on with it already. Byakko unleashed another stone-shattering roar. This one ended up reducing the wide open platform to a narrow pathway leading out to a circular area. "That roar is no joke," Naruto said. "Still, you're going to have to do something better than that to even put a scratch on me." "Oh, is that so? Well, don't worry, I'm just getting started." Byakko plucked some hairs from his mane, started blowing on them. His breath infused them with spirit energy as they suddenly shot out of his hand and into the air, where they transformed into four green-furred four-legged beasts. The four beasts all landed with a thud in front of Naruto. "You're joking," Naruto said as he looked at the furring animals. "Kittens. You attack me with fucking kittens. What is this? A maze of powerful demons, or an animal shelter?" The blonde snapped his face as his face gained Eureka. "Look to it. I know. You're opening up a petting zoo, aren't you? You wouldn't be saying that when these kittens rip you to shreds." Byakko roared in anger. How dare this pest mock him? Naruto snorted and lifted up his hand, his fingers stretched out as he pointed them at the beasts. "I don't have time to deal with trash like this." Four black balls of Yauki on the tips of his fingers. As the beasts jumped, Naruto unleashed his Yauki, shooting the four energy balls right at the beasts. They struck the creatures, exploding on contact and defeating the beasts with ease. Smirking, Naruto looked at the shocked Byakko. "Is that all you've got, Kitty-chan?" Byakko growled in frustration. "You will not make a mockery of me, you are my prey. You make me so angry. I'll kill you myself." Naruto rolled his eyes. "Then get your hairy ass down here, kitten. We'll see who kills who." "Fool," yelled Byakko as he leaped from his position and landed down on the platform with a massive thud. Naruto let out a whistle of amusement. "Would you look at that? You're even bigger up close, but you could stand to cut back on the cold cuts. Those little Yauki balls of yours won't be enough to defeat me. If that's all you've got going for you, you're done for," bellowed Byakko. Naruto gave Byakko a vicious grin as he held out his hand, palm pointed towards the giant tiger. "Who said that was all I've got? That was one of weakest attacks." A black orb of Yauki formed in his hand and was soon launched towards Byakko. The ball smashed right into the giant tiger, exploding, sending Byakko and the large slab of stone hurtling down to the ground below. "Sorry, but I don't have the time nor the inclination to play with a loser like you," Naruto said as he began walking off. Birth of the new Demon King. "It hasn't changed a bit," Kiyubi said with a fond smile as she looked at a moderately sized mansion surrounded by a gate, with the entrance being guarded by two kitsune statues that were sitting down in a pose of watchful alertness. It was a nice place, with a line of rather large trees on either side, their multicolored leaves swaying in a slight breeze. There was a pathway that led to a set of double doors in between the trees. "Not in the 500 years since I had this house made." Kiyubi walked up to the gate. It was rather intricate, with sweeping curves, rather than the standard straight lines most metal gates were made up of. In the center of the entrance was the symbol of the Kitsune clan, a fox head surrounded by 9 tails and a swirl that was almost like that of the Uzumaki, ironically enough. Biting her thumb, Kiyubi smeared her blood across the symbol. It glowed red for a brief moment, before the sound of shattering glass echoed through the clearing. The gate opened smoothly and efficiently, with not a single groan, despite having obviously not been used for centuries. Kiyubi walked down the path and towards the door. When she placed her hand on the door, it too took on a red glow. Kiyubi could feel her Yauki being drained, and merely waited until it unlocked with a click. She opened the door, and made her way inside. The first chamber of the house was beautiful. The floor was made from a finely polished and stained wood paneling in a warm tone of color, which gave the whole room a homey and comforting feel to it. In the middle of the room was an ornate oriental-styled rug, with a pair of kitsune, one male and one distinctly female curling around each other in a yin-yang symbol. The walls were made of paneled wood, stained in a color that was slightly darker from the floor. On the walls hung various paintings of kitsune, landscapes and even a few of Raizen spaced evenly across the wall, so it did not look too full. On the far wall sat a large fireplace, and on top of the mantel were 3 sheathed swords. The first was an adachi, with a 13-inch handle wrapped in a finely woven red fabric. At the end of the hilt was a rectangular gold cap with the face of a kitsune etched on the 2 larger sides. 9 tassels were hanging loosely at the end. The blade was 4 feet long, and sheathed in a dark red scabbard that had black patterns spread along its length. The sword held an artistry and elegance that Kiyubi knew belied how deadly it truly was. The other 2 were a matching set of beautifully crafted blades, a wakizashi and a katana. The wakizashi had a 24-inch long blade that was sheathed in a black scabbard with kitsune in various poses, moving along its length. The hilt was made of a black wood, which seemed to suck in all light to it, and had a notched grip. The katana was 25 inches in length, and was sheathed in a red scabbard that held the same kitsune poses as the wakizashi, only in reverse colors. The hilt was red, and seemed to emit light as opposed to sucking in it. It too had notches, to indicate where the fingers should go. Both blades were extremely well crafted, so finely made, that it did not look like they could be created by standard means. They also looked like a pair, meant to be used together rather than separate. On the ceiling was an ornate-looking chandelier, with several thousand candles, that even though no one had been living in this house for centuries were still emitting a bright light that lit up the entire room. Situated on either side of it was a cloth-draped couch, and what looked to be various recliners, all of them facing the fireplace and the rug. While the entire room seemed to scream wealth and opulence, it also held welcoming feel to it that made Kiyubi feel misty-eyed, as she remembered all of the good times she had living here. Kiyubi shook her head as she realized she had been standing in the entryway for nearly 15 minutes, and made her way into the kitchen. Were any human to ever see the kitchen, they would be surprised by how normal it looked. It had all of the standard appliances that one would expect to find in a kitchen, albeit, said appliances looked much more ornate than the average kitchen appliance. They looked like they were there for decoration just as much as they were for practical use. The entire room was bathed in whites and beiges. The countertops were beige marble, while the floor was white marble. There was a massive refrigerator on the left-hand side of the room, and a large assortment of kitchen appliances on the right, including a huge stove, a microwave oven, convection oven, and a deep fryer. Over to the left was another door that Kiyubi knew led to the wine cellar. She had always been a sucker for a good red wine, and the loss of being able to drink her wine had been one of the most aggravating things for Kiyubi after she had been sealed. It would not be inaccurate to say that half of the reason Mito had assumed Kiyubi to be nothing more than a raging animal of hatred and malice was because the red-haired vixen could not drink her wine. From the kitchen, Kiyubi made her way into a large dining room that seemed to be made for a rather large number of people. The table was long and narrow, and was lined on either side by plush chairs that resembled the recliners in the living room. A chandelier hung from the ceiling, illuminating the room with its brilliant light, and the design was very similar to the one in the living room. The dining room segued into a much less formal living room setting, replete with a very large, curved and plushy couch that looked as though it was made for quite a few people. The room's decor was also much less formal, no fancy paintings or fireplace, but the floor and walls were made of the same wooden combination, and the light in the room came from a very similar chandelier, although slightly dimmer than the one in the main living room. Kiyubi didn't bother exploring the second floor yet, she knew it possessed all of the bedrooms. For now she was content to see that while the house was a tad dusty, a little work would fix it right up. Yes, I think this place will do nicely, she commented to herself, an obvious conclusion, given that there was nobody with her. I'm sure Naruto-sama will appreciate living here when he decides to take up his heritage. Birth of the New Demon King. As Naruto continued to walk down the passageway, he was forced to stop as Byakko's booming laughter made the entire area shake. Out of instinct he channeled chakra to the bottom of his feet so he wouldn't stumble. Then came the roar. Damn it. This guy is beginning to seriously piss me off. Naruto shouted the last bit at the end. He would admit to being impatient. Naruto did not like it when he was annoyed by those weaker than himself who just wouldn't give up, a trait he had gained within the 3 weeks of training as he came more and more into his demonic heritage. As a demon, he not only had a lot more pride than he did as a human, he was also quite a bit more arrogant. A trait that was very common among demons, especially newer ones like him. It was not a particularly good trait, even if a part of it was warranted given Naruto's power. I'm not that easy to dispose of, fool. You are turning out to be very interesting prey, bellowed Byakko. And you're proving to be an extremely annoying little shit, relatively speaking of course, Naruto said. Silly fool. As reward for your battle prowess, I'm inviting you into my lair, a room of hell, declared Byakko. So, you have a room of hell while living in hell? Asked Naruto, scratching the back of his head. His annoyance forgotten and replaced with confusion. How does that make sense? Shrugging the question off, it wasn't like Byakko was going to answer anyways. Naruto made his way to, and then through a large iron double door, that lead to rocky tunnel. The tunnel ended at a massive cavern, where the bottom of said cavern was filled with lava, and had several small stone platforms shooting up out of the lava littered the room. In the center of it all was Byakko. Well, isn't this a cute little setup? Naruto commented as he looked around the cavern. However, I think you're missing the damned souls that one would find in hell. And where is the boat that's supposed to ferry the souls of the damned? And isn't there supposed to be a Cerberus guarding the gates of hell? You, my friend, obviously don't know what hell is supposed to be like at all if you think this pale imitation compares to hell. Byakko let out a booming laugh. You've got some guts, brat. So how shall we do this? Wanna try and come at me, or do you want me to come to you? Either way is fine with me. Naruto rolled his eyes. As if that didn't just scream deception right there. Well, it's not like anything you can do will hurt me anyways. Alright, kitty cat, let's rock. Naruto leapt into the air, flinging 2 black Yaki discs at Byakko, that sailed through the air with a loud buzzing noise. Byakko didn't seem worried however, as he clasped his throat with both hands, and started the beginning of what appeared to be another stone-shattering roar. However, a surge of energy pulsed around his body, and he fired a green energy blast laced with black lightning from his mouth. The blast smashed into the energy discs and vaporized them. Naruto was forced to quickly jump to another platform, as the one he landed on was also destroyed by the blast. The thing that got Naruto's attention was the platform wasn't just destroyed, it disintegrated. You like it? Asked Byakko with a smirk. That's my Tiger Scream blast. It turns everything it touches into a pile of ashes. It's not bad, Naruto admitted. But it's still pathetic. What? Byakko roared in anger. Yeah, that was a pussy blast, Naruto said. He grinned as he held up his hand, and more energy began to coalesce into his hand. Though I suppose I shouldn't expect much from a pussycat like you. Let me show you how a real demon uses his Yaki. Naruto fired a ball of black and red energy from his hand. The ball was smaller than the last one he had sent, with a diameter of only 3 inches. It looked a lot more compressed than his energy ball. It crackled with energy, the discharge of which tore up several of the pillars it passed, as it flew over towards the large cat. It was too fast for Byakko to dodge, and not for lack of trying, as even he had reason to fear the amount of energy that attack was emitting. The ball of compressed Yaki smashed right into his face. The results were near instantaneous as the ball of energy exploded, crackling with red power that looked almost like a surge of electricity being discharged into the air. Byakko's body fell down with a heavy thud, its entire head missing, and the flesh at the edge of the wound blackening from having been burned so badly. Naruto sniffed and quickly plugged his nose as the smell of burnt flesh hit him. Ugh, now that's just rancid. Great, I think I'm gonna vomit. Birth of the New Demon King. Byakko has fallen master. I know, Seiryu. It appears our intruder is far more troublesome than we had first expected. That may be true, but Byakko's battle edge has weakened since we took up residence here. We can no longer sit back and let that child take the starting action. Very well, Master Suzaku. I will ensure that he does not survive the encounter with me. I have much faith in your abilities, Seiryu. I expect this to be no problem for you. Still, do not underestimate this boy. He is far stronger than we have expected. Do not worry, Master. You know I never underestimate my opponents. Birth of the New Demon King. Naruto walked up a spiraling set of stairs, a frown on his face as he thought about the battles he had done so far. They had all been rather disappointing to say the least. He could only hope the next beast was more powerful than Byakko and Genbu had been. Exiting the stairs into a circular room with about 15 solid steel doors leading in every direction. Well, talk about your fork in the road, Naruto mumbled. I was beginning to wonder if this castle would actually live up to its name. I'm guessing only one of these doors is the right door, and the wrong ones will lead to certain death. Slightly cliche and a little boring, but I guess it's better than nothing. Naruto created 15 Kage Bunchins, and had them each choose a door and walk in. He waited for a few seconds as the clones began getting killed, and the memories of their death hit him. When the clone that had gone through the correct door dispelled the blonde side. Man, these traps suck. I'm beginning to wonder if the fools who made this castle were incompetent, or the hunters who came here were just so stupid they never had to upgrade their traps. Birth of the New Demon King. In his room at the top of the tower, Suzaku watched the progress of the blonde demon shinobi with interest. Most interesting, he managed to pick out the right door rather quickly. I almost hope he survives the battle with Seiryu. He would make a most interesting opponent. Birth of the New Demon King. Having entered through the correct door, Naruto walked down the pathway until he came across a massive set of blue double doors outlined with ornate golden trim. To the side of the doors were a pair of blue dragon statues in snarling poses. Naruto was not very impressed. I hope this isn't meant to be intimidating. If so, then these people obviously need to get out more often. Naruto blinked in surprise as the door began to slowly creak open. Once it was open all the way, the blonde shrugged and walked inside with a casual demeanor, as if he were just going for a stroll through a park and not likely to fight a demon. Once he stepped fully inside, the door slammed shut behind him. Naruto frowned before turning back, to be faced with a thick fog covering the room that made visibility severely limited. Naruto sniffed the air with a frown. This fog has the scent of the tainted energy coming off the beast's body. I wonder if he does this on purpose, or if it's just a byproduct of his naturally produced energy. Deshan, a low-pitched moan echoed through the fog. You have done very well to make it this far, but I will no longer allow you to disgrace my master. Naruto didn't much care for the beast's theatrics, and was quickly becoming annoyed that his enhanced eyesight couldn't pierce through the fog. What are you, 5? Come out now, dragon. This hide-and-seek bullshit is pretty lame. As you request, replied the voice. Sparks of lighting soon began to flash through the fog, and a large blue ball of spirit energy appeared in the center of the room. The lighting coiled around the energy ball for a few seconds before a powerful surge caused the energy to flash brightly, forcing Naruto to close his eyes in order to protect them from the bright light. The light show soon died down, and most of the fog dissipated to reveal a giant figure standing before him, its figure shrouded by a swirling blue mist. The pale blue-skinned, dark-haired demon with a goatee towered over the blonde, dressed in dark blue martial arts clothes with a light blue embroidered dragon running across the front and back his torso. Naruto noticed the temperature take an immediate drop as the demon made his full presence known. It was then that the full scope of the dungeon also came into view. The dull gray square tiles of the floor were offset by the massive Arctic blue rectangular panels that went from wall to wall and even covered the ceiling. In the back of the room, another massive golden trimmed doorway marked the exit. Seiryu looked at the blonde as if he was nothing but a fly that he had to swat. You may call me Seiryu. You will be going no further, intruder. I have been sent here to end your life. Well, isn't that lovely? Naruto replied with an air of nonchalance. You know, given those carvings on the door that got me here, I was expecting a dragon. Not some ugly ass jabroni who thinks he has what it takes to take me down. You think you are capable of beating me? Very well, let us see who shall be the victor here, said Seiryu. The man raised a single hand in a come here gesture that was universal to all beings. Come. With pleasure, Naruto said as he burst forward, intent on crushing the man's face into his skull. Matuto Ryuken, Ice Dragon, roared Seiryu as he quickly brought his arm back and thrust his fist forward and unleashed a burst of energy. Naruto let loose a roar as his fist became covered in his reddish-black yaki, unleashing it upon the icy power coming towards him. The blonde was forced backwards due to the energy backlash, but he managed to destroy Seiryu's attack at the same time. That wasn't bad. You managed to counter my attack with an attack of equal power, Seiryu admitted at seeing the blonde destroy his technique. But do not think that you have what it takes to beat me just because you managed to stop my attack. Perhaps you shouldn't be so cocky, Naruto said. It's that same kind of arrogance that got your friends killed. The blonde then chuckled. Well, that and they just weren't on my level. I am not like those weaklings you fought to get here, Seiryu countered. They were too soft, nothing more than fodder. I am a master of ice. My power shall destroy you. Matuto Ryuken. Are all you sane beasts lacking in originality? Asked Naruto as he launched a powerful blast of Yaki that destroyed Seiryu's attack like it was nothing. Seriously, I thought you people were supposed to be strong. I've had better fights on the plains of Makai. I have yet to even begun showing my true power, Hikori no Kagami, Ice Dragon Mirrors. I'm getting an odd sense of deja vu here, Naruto said as ice mirrors sprung up from the ground, surrounding him in an igloo. The image of Seiryu appeared within the mirrors. Each reflection suddenly shifted back into an attack position as they created dozens of small fang-like blades of ice and launched them through the mirrors. Hikori Kiba, Ice Dragon Fangs. Naruto watched in a bored manner as he saw Seiryu move from mirror to mirror, flinging those ice blades of his. He figured the man assumed his speed was overwhelming and that Naruto could not see him. A stupid assumption, but considering how arrogant these saint beasts were, the blonde supposed it was understandable that the blue dragon simply didn't think he was very strong. As the ice blades came in close, Naruto disappeared via liberal use of Shundo. He reappeared right in front of Seiryu, who was just about to go into one of his mirrors. The blue dragon's eyes widened as Naruto unleashed a ball of tightly condensed Yaki into the man's face. The blonde demon shinobi watched with a dissatisfied look on his face as the blue dragon's head was destroyed. First the man's face quite literally melted, the skin disintegrating under the blonde's Yaki, followed by the muscles, then the bones. After that the entire head disappeared in a blaze of black energy. When his view cleared, Naruto watched as the now headless body of Seiryu dropped onto its knees, then fell the rest of the way to the floor with a dull, meaty thud. And then there was one, he mumbled. Well, let's hope this last beast is better than the others. Birth of the New Demon King. Naruto began climbing the tower once again after beating Seiryu. He made it up the last set of stairs, and walked out of the top passage, where he found the last of the Saint Beasts waiting for him. Suzaku had long orange hair parted down the middle, with 2 red strands. He was wearing a circlet on his head, a red sleeveless shirt, of white baggy pants and red boots. Compared to the other 3 beasts, the leader looked human, even down to his size. When the man noticed Naruto, he smiled. "Ah, I was hoping you would get here. After seeing you battle your way through my subordinates, I began feeling rather keen on fighting you myself." "So, you're the leader of the Saint Beasts?" asked Naruto. "That is correct, my name is Suzaku. May I know the name of the warrior I am to do battle with?" Naruto rolled his eyes at the overly dramatic and traditional voice this guy was taking. Like the man actually thought he would be powerful enough to beat him. "I suppose it wouldn't hurt. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I'm the one that's gonna kick your ass." Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.